Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and we're back at my electrical test pad at Spectacle Island. This is not a completed settlement or anything. This is just where I do tutorials for electrical stuff. For example, there is my old Mark I combination lock for prison cells over there. There's a couple demonstrator shacks over here that I used in the advanced settlement power and electronics mod demos. These things serve as backdrops and inspiration for things that you can do with the tutorials that I'm showing you here. So don't look at this and go like, oh my god, this guy makes terrible settlements. This is just for tutorial purposes because I wanted to show, I didn't want to just show how the not and gate worked. I wanted to show some things that you could do with it. So let's actually demonstrate that. So right now we've got a sure thing. Thanks, Piper. We have this guard post here. And let's imagine this is part of an outer wall for a settlement or part of maybe a security station somewhere internal to a settlement. Now this guard, you know, everything looks nice and friendly right now. The turrets are off, and the guard, you know, has a street light, but you know, if there's some raiders around, well, that guard's going to be backlit, and he probably wants some support from those turrets. So he can hit this switch right here, and the turrets turn on, and he's not backlit by the street light there. And we've even got this spotlight turret that is going to be picking out those raiders and highlighting them for the guard. Now, you can actually have your settlers hit this switch themselves if you use a siren instead of just a wall switch, but I didn't want to try and talk over a siren in the middle of my demo video. So when you go to build this for yourself, if you try this out, try out a siren instead of a wall switch, and you'll be, I think, surprised when a settler finally activates the defense mode for a settlement all on their own. It's kind of cool. Let's look at the next thing that I wanted to show here. Let's pretend that we've got ourselves a little store here. This little armor store, and again, not fully decorated. Just wanted to have a backdrop as what, you know, an idea for what you can use gates for. And this all runs off of a single not and gate. If the owner is inside and wants to lock himself in, he can turn the lights off and he can just hide in here if he wants to. Or if it's closing time, he can come outside here and he can hit that switch, and the sign switches from open to closed, and the lights on the inside turn off. It all runs off of one not and gate. Over here is something I've seen a few other YouTubers do. It's a two-way door. Let's pretend that I've got a great big bunker, and it's like the headquarters for the Minutemen or a gigantic military lab for the Brotherhood of Steel or something. And I've got multiple doors. If I just daisy chain the switches together, there is a conceivable scenario where I could either be locked in or locked out of my own dang bunker. So we can use a couple of not and gates to make sure that that never happens, because getting in and out of build mode to get in and out of your bunker is for chumps, right? Now I have also set it up so that there's a light that it turns on whenever one of the doors is open. We could invert that if we wanted to and have that light turn on when the doors are closed, or set it on its own switch, or anything else that our little hearts desire. But there we go. There are three practical applications for the not and gate. If you'd like to learn how to do that, stick around. I'm going to show you how to build all three of these, how to wire all three of them at any rate, and I'm going to do it right now, and it is so easy, guys, you're not even going to believe it. So I actually thought that before I started building, maybe I should explain how not and works. If you think about an and gate, it works and transmits power when both the inputs are hot. So 1 and 2 are hot. And a not and gate inverts that. if anything less than both of inputs are hot, so 1 not 2 or 2 not 1 are hot, then the gate transmits power. So that means we can actually use 2 switches to control the same thing. Let's go ahead and hit that switch and see the light turns on. So we've got, actually, with both switches off, this gate is actually closed and would transmit power if there was any power to transmit, but the little indicator light up there shows that there's no power in it. So once we have 1 not 2, the light turns on. And if we have 1 and 2, light turns off. And let's invert this, and we've got 2 not 1, lights on. And that's convenient so that we can, from wherever we are standing, and whichever switch we throw, we can change the state of this. If I had both of these switches connected to this light, then if either switch was on, then the light would be on. And this is the setup that we've got in that little bunker demonstrator over there with a two-way door. No matter which switch we throw, the door opens no matter where we're standing and closes no matter where we are standing. And so this is a way that we can use 2 switches to control one thing using the NOT AND gate. But there's another cool thing that we can do with a NOT AND gate. We can use one switch to control 2 things, kind of like that guard post demonstrator that I showed over there. Let's trace this circuit and understand what's going on here. So right now we have power from the switch and this conduit. So 1 and 2 are live, and the turret that is hooked to the output of the NOT AND gate is off. And I've also got this light hooked straight to the switch. Now to flip between these two, I hit the switch, and now we have 1 not 2 are hot, and the light turns off because it was hooked straight to the switch, and the turret turns on because it was on this NOT AND gate output. Now we could do some other cool things besides just inverting the signal. We could automate some stuff, like we could have this turret maybe turn on every time it rains, for example, by using a rain sensor, or do different things at different times of day with a clock switch. But those require mods, and I was going to try and do this vanilla, so just know that mods make everything better. And you can do even more if you have those available to you. But even so, in the vanilla game, there's some cool things we can do with the NOT AND switch. So we can control one thing with 2 switches, or we can control 2 things with 1 switch using a NOT AND gate. I think we're finally ready to start building, so let me insert a little cut here for myself and let's start building. So now that we finally have all of the preliminaries out of the way, let's go ahead and wire something. I've already got my wall set up for my defense station here and got my siren up there, and basically mainly because your mileage may vary and your exact configuration is going to be a little different than mine, but the principles will be the same. So let's get started with this. I want some power conduits to kind of hook everything together. I'm going to have one conduit here that controls all the defense stuff. So we're going to hook everything coming off that one conduit there that is defense related. So we're going to get that one and hook that so that we can route the wire over the door. And I am going to get this and glitch it right through to my spotlight turret. And I guess while I'm here, I might as well set my other conduit that I know I'm going to need over here. And we're going to wire glitch again and come over to this conduit and hook this to this trap. The turrets, I can hook these up to the same conduit that I've been kind of using for everything else here. So we just go hook that up there and hook this up here. Quick side note actually, don't hook your turrets together like this. And the reason I say that is if this turret is destroyed, that would mean that this turret stops working. In the middle of attack, you don't necessarily want to stop and repair, and you don't want to be vulnerable by having all of your turrets hooked together like that. Let's go ahead and get our, let's see, is that everything? Yep, let's go ahead and get our not and gate. So get in here into power and logic gates and not and. And so how is this going to work? Well, we've got this siren that is off most of the time. So let's put power on the siren. And when we turn this siren on, we want all the defenses to turn on. So we can just hook this siren straight to the defense stuff. But when the siren's off, we want our street light to be on. So what we can do here is we can take power and hook it straight into the not and gate, and we can take our switched power and hook it to the not and gate, and now we can take the not and output and hook it to the street light. And what we have set up here is 1, the pylon, 1 is hot, not 2. 2 is the siren, and it is not hot, and then the street light turns on. So let's just demonstrate this in action. If guard is up here, and settlers will actually hit these sirens, all the defenses turn on, including the spotlight, and the street light turns off. And we did it all with the one switch off of this siren right here. Pretty neat, and I think that probably took me less than 3 or 4 minutes to do. Now, let's go ahead and wire our store. I've got my basic shell set up, so I've got all the quote-unquote decorations in the store. So I am going to go grab an insulated pylon. And again, you don't have to use insulated stuff. It just makes things a lot easier when it comes to having stuff run off the lights. The lights run the way that you want. And I'm just going to put that right there. And I'm going to grab one of these nifty 45-degree power conduits. Again, not required, just makes life easier. And hook that there. And I'm going to go ahead and get the door open. I want the door open so that I can get in and out of this room. So I'm just going to glitch straight to my power supply there. And I'm going to put an insulated switch on the outside and an insulated switch on the inside. Now, the way I want this to work is I want to be able to lock the door from the inside. So I need power to come from here to this outside switch so that if I turn this off from the outside, there's no power on the inside switch. And then I go to the inside switch, and since that's going to be hard to glitch, I'm actually going to grab power off of my door and go here and glitch to this inside switch. And at this point, the door is all set up. We can exit the build mode, and son of a gun, I forgot to do it from the inside. So did you catch what happened there? I had the inside switch off, and that meant that when I removed power from the door, it shut. So now I can turn that on, and I guess it at least kind of demonstrates how the thing locks from the inside, right? It will always, as long as that inside switch is on, this switch is always active, but as soon as that inside switch is off or loses power because we have it hooked straight to here, the door is locked from the inside and you're just stuck. Anyways, let's get back into build mode and put some lighting up in here. So this is where we're going to actually use our NOT AND gate. So let's go grab that, and here we go, and there we are. Now, if you're doing this in a settlement where you've already set up lights on switches, I would actually recommend doing this with all the power off. But since I already have many lights around here, we're just going to do it with the power on. So I need a conduit that is going to be active when the door is open. So that's what this guy is going to be right here. We're just going to hook that straight to the switch. So when the outside switch is turned off, this switch loses power, or when the switch turns off. So either of those conditions will cause this conduit to lose power. And I'm going to hook that switch to the NOT AND input, and I'm going to take another conduit, and I guess Covenant is going to have to deal with itself. Take another conduit and hook it to the output of NOT and finally I am going to glitch some power off of this input for my whole setup to the input for NOT AND. Oops. Well, let's try that again. Here we go. And oh, maybe it'll be easier if I go the other direction, so I can glitch from here to here, and there we are. So now you can see that we've got both of these that are hot, and that means that that conduit is off. But this conduit, and we can even check that by putting the wire there, see, no power, but this conduit is on. So now we can go ahead and set up all of our lighting for when the store is open. So I think I had a ceiling fan like over here. So why don't you want to go close enough? And I had a spotlight on this little mannequin over here, and I had a neon sign that was green that said open. So let's go over to the green neon, and I'm just gonna, I usually start at the center and kind of work my way out so that I can roughly center things up when it comes to neon. So there we go. There's, and add the P and add the O, and it says open. Now we want to set things up so that when this is closed, we have a nice let up close sign, and that's real easy to do. Once I hit that switch, or this one, but we're going to do the outside one, this will be a 1, not 2, so 1, the power I glitched from outside, and not 2, not that switch, and this is going to turn on, and that's going to turn on that conduit, and we're going to be able to set up a closed sign. So close that, and we have radiant power inside. And I had some red lights. And again, you don't have to use the, let's see, if you don't have to use the mods that I'm using, but man, look at how much easier this is compared to trying to glitch power in and out or move things around or any other number of other ways that you could set this up. And oops, I don't want it to be closed, I want it to be closed. So we want that O and L and C, and we're done. That's all there is to it. And it only took a single logic gate, and we can see that the spine switches from open to closed. The lights turn on inside, and if we could see outside, we would see that sign still says closed, but we're locked in, so we'll get out. And that's all there is to it. Now the last little demonstration that I showed was this bunker. So let's go ahead and get a couple of two-way doors wired up on this little bunker. Alright, so once again I am going to start off with an insulated conduit to just serve as my my input power for this whole thing. So we'll grab some power off of that and set that up there. And I'm going to go ahead and glitch both of these doors open so that I'll be able to move in and out without any trouble. And the weather has gone to hell. Somehow I think it would be inadvisable in the real world to do wiring in heavy rain. At any rate, we can go ahead and put a conduit in here. And I just want something that is going to serve as my input for this whole shebang. So that's going to be this guy, and I'm going to get some power on it. I already know that I'm going to want a couple of conduits for routing purposes over here, so I'm going to go ahead and set those up, but I'm not going to wire anything to them just yet. And I need a couple more switches. Put that one there, and put this one here, and another switch there, and another switch there. And that's all the preliminaries. Now we can go ahead and get into the vanilla power menu and get two. Actually, we'll do these one at a time. So I'm going to get this not AND gate, and I'm going to get power on this switch. Come on. There we go. And I'm also going to take input power to this switch. This is a little different from what I did on the store. Each switch has its own power supply and is connected to main power. And I'm actually just going to slightly cheat and use place anywhere here, just because I don't like how low that other switch is. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to wire both of these switches to our not AND gate. So we can go from here to here, and just because it's easier to grab this end, I'm going to glitch from here over to here, and we're done. Now we can hook the output of the not and to this, and we can hook these two. Oh, I already hooked the two conduits together, so we can go there, and we should be ready to remove the power switch holding that door open. So the door closes now because both switches are off, and I want a conduit here so that I can put up a light inside of my bunker. Actually, let's do this the even easier way. Let's go grab a cycling light, which is under miscellaneous. And cycling light. We'll just take that and put that right about there, and put there, and there we go. That light will turn on when the door is open. Now let's wire up our other door. So we're going to take off of our input power to that. And I'm sorry this is so dark. I hope you're able to see well enough what's going on. Actually, you know what? This is getting so dark that I am going to go ahead and fix the weather before I continue. Okay, let's go ahead and wire up our other door. I'm going to set down a second not and gate, and I'm going to get power from my input and go to this switch, and also power from my input and go to this switch, and I'm going to go from the inside switch to this not and gate, and the other input on the not and goes to the outside switch, and there we go. And now I can hook. Oh, it wants to be difficult. So there we go. I should be able to glitch like that. Now my not and is hooked up to my door, and I can go ahead and remove that. Door closes, but it's okay. We're not locked in. And go back to miscellaneous. Now I can't have both these be the same cycling lights because cycling lights are a conductor. So if I had both if I just like hooked this cycling light also to the door, I would end up with, whenever this door was open, this door would also be open. That's not how I want it. So I am going to hook up a separate cycling light, and this may be harder to get. Let me see if I can. Oh, it turned out to be not too bad. Okay, so we are now set. Our bunker is wired, and we can hit either of these switches and doors will open. Wait, why did that door not open? Oh, I missed a wire because it was raining and dark. There we are. Whoopsie daisy. Even Nacho makes mistakes sometimes. So yeah, we can open and shut these doors from anywhere. And that's all there is to it. The lights are on inside the bunker, and we have mastered the not and gate. We have used two switches to control one thing, like we did in the bunker, and we have used one switch to control two things, like we did here at the defense station. So I hope that anybody who is still listening found this information very useful, and if you did, be sure to hit the like button down below. If you did not like, please tell me why down in the comments, and I will try to do better next time. If you want to see more, be sure and subscribe. Until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.